In 2009, a medical scan exposed something hidden inside the jaw of a Komodo dragon venom glands. For decades, scientists had blamed its deadly bite on bacteria from rotting flesh. That explanation was wrong. The real weapon could drop blood pressure, prevent clotting, and leave wounded prey helpless while the hunter followed from a distance. Yet this is only where the mystery begins. A female can produce offspring without a male. Young dragons hide in trees to avoid being eaten by adults. Even their weak bite conceals a brutal design. So how much do we actually understand about Earth's largest lizard? Stay with us, because the strangest discovery comes later, for most of the 20th century. The Komodo dragon seemed easier to explain. It was simply a giant monitor lizard with a filthy mouth and a dangerous bite. If an animal escaped, the old theory said, bacteria would finish the job. That story appeared in documentaries, textbooks, and zoos for years. Then researchers looked closer. Inside the lower jaw were specialized glands producing venom. The discovery changed the picture completely. Instead of relying on infection alone, a bite could cause blood pressure to fall and interfere with clotting. A wounded animal could lose strength while the dragon waited nearby. But there was another surprise. The Komodo dragon does not need an overpowering bite to kill. Its jaws deliver a force far weaker than those of a crocodile. What matters is the weapon hidden in the design. Dozens of curved, serrated teeth that slice through flesh. Once a wound is opened, the dragon can back away and let blood loss, shock, and venom begin the work. Then comes the strangest part of the hunt. A Komodo dragon can follow a wounded animal by scent, using its forked tongue to collect particles from the air. Those signals reach a special organ inside the mouth, helping the predator detect where the smell is coming from. Under favorable conditions, a bleeding animal can become a trail leading directly back to its hunter. The strategy is brutally simple. Strike, retreat, follow, wait. There is no need for a long chase if the victim is already weakening. That patience matters because Komodo dragons live in a place where food can be scarce. Their islands cannot support endless prey. Every successful meal has to count. An adult can consume an enormous amount in one feeding, sometimes eating close to 4/5 of its body weight before going for weeks without another major meal. Yet the biggest threat to a young dragon may not be hunger. It may be another Komodo dragons. Adult animals will eat smaller members of their own species. That forces hatchlings into an unusual childhood. Instead of spending their early years walking across the ground, they climb into trees and remain there for roughly 2 or 3 years. Sharp claws help them move through the branches, while their smaller bodies keep them away from adults below. Up in the canopy, they live on insects, geckos, and bird eggs. Down on the ground, their future is waiting. Once they become too heavy to remain safely in the trees, they must enter the same world occupied by the adults that once threatened them. And then science uncovered something even more unexpected. Female Komodo dragons can reproduce without mating. In 2006, researchers studying a female at Chester Zoo discovered that she had produced viable eggs despite never being housed with a male. Genetic tests showed there had been no stored sperm involved. The process, known as parthenogenesis, meant a single female could produce offspring on her own. That sounds like a biological escape plan. But there is a catch. The offspring produced this way are male. In theory, that means an isolated female arriving on a new island could begin a population from almost nothing, then reproduce normally once those males matured. For an animal that already survives on a handful of isolated islands, that ability is extraordinary. And isolation may be the most important reason the species has survived. Today, only a few thousand wild Komodo dragons remain, concentrated mainly across Komodo, Zrinka, Vlorus, and nearby islands. Their world is small. Their prey is limited. Their habitat is fragile. Humans also live within that same narrow space. That overlap can turn dangerous quickly. In 2007, an 8-year-old boy on Komodo Island was attacked after walking behind a bush. His uncle heard screams and rushed toward the scene. A dragon had grabbed the child and was shaking him violently. Rocks finally forced the animal to release him, but the boy died from severe blood loss. 2 years later, another fatal attack occurred when a fruit picker fell from a tree and encountered 2 dragons waiting below. These incidents were rare, but rarity should not be mistaken for safety. The islands simply offer very few chances for people and dragons to meet. Tourists now enter this habitat in growing numbers, while guides carefully control how visitors move through areas where dragons roam. The animals have not become harmless. Humans have simply learned how to reduce the chances of an encounter. That distinction matters, because when the distance disappears, the Komodo dragon does not need to be the strongest predator in the world. It only needs one successful bite. And the more scientists study this animal, the more often an old assumption collapses. Its killing method was misunderstood. Its bite is weaker than expected. Its young must hide from their own kind. Its females can reproduce without males. And somehow, this giant predator remained almost unknown to the wider world until the 20th century. But there is one final question. If science has already been wrong about so many things inside this animal, what else might still be hiding beneath those scales? Perhaps the strangest thing about the Komodo dragon is not what we have discovered, but what remains unknown. A predator this large, this isolated, and this unusual still holds secrets that science has not fully uncovered. Somewhere across those remote islands, another piece of its biology may be waiting to challenge what we think we know. And that is what makes the Komodo dragon truly fascinating, not simply its power, but the possibility that we still haven't seen the whole picture. If you enjoyed this journey into one of nature's greatest mysteries, subscribe for more wildlife stories that reveal what the world has overlooked.